Thank you for watching and welcome to the PDAC 2026. This is actually the end of the conference, and after 4 days of yelling at junior mining CEOs, telling them to cut their G&A, drill deeper holes, and make their stock prices go up, I've actually lost my voice. So just for the intro, you're gonna have to deal with it. Now this was a bull market PDAC if I ever saw one. All the holes were stacked with people. People were bumping into each other. Well, nobody's bumping into me because you can see me from the top of the CN Tower. I kind of look like one of those inflatable things you put in front of a tire shop. So I was safe, and it is junior mining, so it is safety first. No, it was a bull market PDAC though. The cocktail receptions I went to, it's no longer beer nuts and salty sticks. It's sushi and lobster. I hadn't had lobster before. It was free lobster, so I'm not complaining. But it is a bull market. It's very clearly a bull market. But what are some of the mistakes that we've made during previous bull markets that we're making again as an industry? Well, I haven't seen many of the previous bull markets myself, so I found someone to talk to about exactly that. What are some of the lessons that we learned during previous cycles that we're going to forget during this one? And Rick Rule is going to tell you more about that. Rick, I want to talk to you about what happened during the previous bull markets and specifically the lessons we learned. What are some of the biggest lessons you think we learned during the previous bull markets that we're going to forget for this one?
Bull markets and bear markets are the same in that the sense that the real lesson is that money is made on the delta between price and value. Everybody pays attention to the stock quote, and most people don't do the work to ascertain value. In cheap markets, in bear markets, stocks are undervalued because people are afraid of price action. In bull markets, stocks go to overvalued because people pay attention to the price action. Money is made on the delta between price and value or price and expected value. Stop. In bull markets and bear markets, people pay attention to narrative. They pay attention to their feelings rather than to arithmetic. They lead to ugly, ugly mistakes in bear markets where people sell good product or don't buy it. And they lead to ugly, ugly mistakes in bull markets because people buy narrative as opposed to value. The process is the same both ways.
What about the companies? What do you think the issuers are going to do wrong again? What's a mistake that you see? Because you've seen, how many bull markets have you seen actually? Let's do that.
This is my fourth real bull market. You know, I've seen some false starts, but this is my fourth rip-roaring bull market. For the record, I think this will be the second most dramatic bull market of my career after only the 1970s bull market. I think we're in one that's going to be, in American parlance, a Lollapalooza, but this is in fact my fourth bull market.
Yeah. So what are some of the biggest mistakes that you saw companies make over and over and over again? You saw them make it in the 70s and you thought like, okay, now we've learned the lessons, we're not going to do it, but then we did it again.
They believe their own bullshit. They equate a bull market with brains. I did that in the 1970s. I was really successful as a young man, and I thought it had to do with me, as opposed to the fact that the gold price went from $35 to $850. You have to remember who you are. You have to remember what your definable strengths are, what you do better than other people. And if you don't do anything better than other people, you have to understand that. You have to understand and be an opportunist. But what happens is that people measure their competence by their share price. And those aren't always correlated. That's important to know. Yeah. It's important to know, too, that the whole set of circumstances that you describe, you may or may not emulate. One of the things that's been of interest to me as I've been talking lately to gold mining company managements, and it's very obvious to me that aside from promotion, most of them don't believe in gold. In other words, the interest of the shareholders and the interest of the management teams are often improperly aligned. And I think it's important that the management teams, particularly in times of good money, learn to at least understand what their shareholders are asking them to do to have better alignment. My preference would, of course, be that the managers be big shareholders. But at the very least, I want them to understand what all of the constituencies want. And that varies. The institutional constituency has one want, the high net worth retail has a different want. And in the same fashion that management teams have a business development strategy, they need to have a capital acquisition strategy. In easy times, when people are showering them with money, they forget the fact that easy times won't last.
I thought when my portfolio goes up, that's all me, and when it goes down, it's the market. That's right.
Many people think that, and those people don't last market to market.
That's probably a good lesson for me right there. Rick, when I go and talk to the issuers that I'm going to do right now, what are some of those questions that I should be asking? Like, is that a question that I should be asking? Like, do you believe in gold? Do you eat your own cooking?
I would say, what is your durable competitive advantage? What does your team do better than other people? If their honest answer is nothing, that's important for you to know. If somebody purports to be, let's say that somebody is exploring for gold in accreted terrain, 25 million year old tertiary volcanics in the Peruvian highlands, and you say, tell me why I should care what you have to say about that subject. What successes have you had? Well, it turns out that their successes were in producing rather than exploring gold in 2 billion year old crustal rock in French-speaking Quebec. But the task at hand is exploring for copper gold porphyries in 25 million year old rock in Spanish-speaking Peru. How is their resume geared to the task at hand? What can they offer me in terms of their expertise that leads me to believe that they would be successful? Now, there are people who are serially successful in other aspects of mining that have been proven successes at building management teams around a theme. I'm thinking now of the third generation of Lundins, of Ross Beatty, of Bob Quartermain, of people like that, but they're few and far between. So if people tell me that they're great assemblers of opportunity, I say, really? Show me. Show me your track record. If that's what you think you do, that's fine. Very often, the people who say that they're great assemblers of talent have never done it before.
Yeah. My problem with asking about what sets you apart is that the most common answer is team. We have a great team. We have 250 years of combined experience. Everybody has that. Everybody always says they have a great team.
Yeah.
How do I recognize the rest of the team? I can see the CEO's track record maybe. What about the rest of the team?
That's a great question. I wish I was wandering around asking these questions because I've done it for 40 years. Say, you're chairman, the person that's ultimately responsible for hiring and firing you. What is it about your chairman's expertise that makes him the right chairman for your company? Your VPX. Has your VPX operated in this geological environment before? Is he or she on a first name basis with this rock package? Your job, let's say you're exploring, your job is partly to raise capital and partly to be a treasurer, allocate capital efficiently. Has he or she done those two roles in this context before? Your directors, were they chosen because they're buddies of yours that will keep you on the job, or do they have some specific expertise around the task at hand? If I go to Bob Quartermain and I go director by director by director, Bob Quartermain tells me what the role of every director is in terms of directing the successful outcome of the company. If I go to most companies, I ask them that question, they say, I've never thought of it that way. Guess who's going to succeed?
What's the biggest deal breaker for you when you go and talk to the companies quickly, because it's rapid fire, speed dating? You talk to them for 5 minutes, after 40 years you can probably tell.
I don't do that. What I try to do with speed dating, I mean, when I'm down here, if you look at this, I've got my whole card of people I want to talk to. What you don't see is that up in my room, I have an old-fashioned binder. I'm not too computer literate yet. And I've got a lined page for every company I want to talk to. And at night, when all the people your age are going out drinking, I'm upstairs writing down what I learned every day about every company. My idea isn't to make a buy decision at PDAC. My idea is that if I get to do 80 interviews at PDAC, I distill that 80 interviews down to 15 or 20 people that I want to call and get a real debriefing from. And when I get a debriefing, I want to give them all a chance to lie to me. I want to give them the opportunity to tell me something where I already know the answer, where if they believed it was in their interest to mislead me, I want to see whether or not they took the opportunity to lie. It's very important to me.
Yeah. Biggest takeaway for me, don't drink at the PDAC.
You know, I think I was about 30 when I learned I didn't have to be hungover here. I have a really nice place to drink at home. I don't have to travel. I don't have to drink drive. This is a 4-day smorgasbord. If you use the PDAC correctly, you save yourself 100,000 air miles. The idea that you drink it away, nobody makes money at night here. They all lose money at night. So
that's the experience speaking right there, I feel like.
Yes.
Why do you work so hard? What do you have to do 80 meetings for?
I love it. This is a job, literally. If it didn't pay so well, I'd do it for free.
Thank you so much for your time. I guess you're busy, so I'll let you do your thing, but thank you so much for doing this.
Pleasure. I look forward to seeing you in Boca some point in time. There's one conference in the world that's actually better than this one.
Dave, I know you've seen a couple of those cycles. You've been through booms and busts. What's a lesson that we've learned during the previous cycles that we keep forgetting and that we might forget as an industry this time around?
Antonio, that's a fascinating question. When I hear you ask that question, I immediately think of Rick Rule, because he's always talking about how we need to use the cycles to our advantage rather than be used by the cycles, right? And I'll point this out, and it's a bit of a cliche, but it's 100% the case, right? That the cure for low prices is low prices, because when you have a down market, people don't put the capital in to increase production or do exploration or make discoveries, etc. And that brings back the supply to the market, which ultimately results in a supply-demand dynamic that raises the price. And the opposite is also true. We're in a robust cycle, and it's easy to see companies overexpand, get over-exuberant, put too much money and create too much supply, and that's a cure for high prices. Yeah. So those are the things I think of immediately when I hear that, and embedded in that is partially an answer to your question. And you need to understand fundamentally that we are in a cyclical business. Therefore, you need to utilize those cycles to your advantage, and it's very difficult, but when you're in a down market and there's no light at the end of the tunnel, that's probably the time to buy.
Yeah. Well,
and when things are exuberant, then you're on a pathway, and it's difficult to predict where the top of that pathway is going to land. But you need to be cognizant that you need to start to be more careful.
Yeah.
I had a conversation one time with Paul Brink, the CEO of Franco-Nevada, and I said, how's your model with respect to predicting gold price and blah, blah. He says, Dave, here's what we do. It's quite simple. When lots of people are allocating capital, we try to allocate less. When people are not allocating capital, we like to allocate more, because there's more opportunities for those of us that are the financiers funding mining companies around the world to advance their projects.
Is that what you're doing right now? Are you being more cautious because of where the market is, or is it time to get aggressive?
Well, of course, that's a lot of dynamics, and easier to say that we're going to do that than to actually execute.
Exactly.
But yes, you got to keep your head on your shoulders. You need to think logically. And what we do at Elemental is always focus on the fundamentals of the technical side. So we're thinking about the geology and the engineering first, and then let that technical understanding drive astute business decisions moving forward. And as long as we are rooted in that technical understanding, we'll be fine.
Yeah. Talking about Rick Rule, another thing that he told me is look for the right people. And you and I have done deep dives. I know your background. I know Fred's background. What about the rest of the team? Maybe the people who don't get as much spotlight time as they might deserve. Are they the right people? Do they have the specific experience for the specific task at hand?
So my team at Elemental, I couldn't speak highly enough of them. And we just completed a merger. EMX Royalty Corporation merged with Elemental Altus Royalties to form Elemental Royalties and Elemental Royalty Corp. Very, very delighted to work with the team. The bringing together of these super passionate and intelligent, hardworking individuals is working out exceedingly well, which was part of Fred and I's plan. And it's a pleasure to work with them. And more smart people making even better decisions. I'm very pleased with how things are coming together.
Yeah. When do you think the next time is that you and I should have a deep dive interview again? When are you going to have some catalysts out to market?
Oh my goodness me, we've accomplished a lot already in the last few months. So keep your eye on the press releases. You'll see more deals forthcoming. I want to point out that Tether Holding Corporation now owns 32% of Elemental, and very dynamic man Juan Sartori is now our executive chairman. He's a really interesting guy, and he's fully supportive. He believes in our business model even more than we do. It's fantastic. We're delighted to have one of the most profitable private companies in the world as a significant shareholder.
Where is that going? That ownership is quite significant, well above 20%, so well above blocking interest. What are the implications of that? Where is that going?
They're long-term players, or at least say that they are. I'll point out that Tether Holding is buying 2 to 3 metric tons of physical gold metal every week. And I said that correctly, and that's publicly disclosed. So they are buying copious physical metal, putting it in their bunkers in Switzerland, guarded by the Swiss Army. It's James Bond stuff.
Have you seen it?
No, I've not, but I'm asking for a tour. So that just shows where they are at philosophically about hard assets. They're also buying farmland, and they're also buying royalties, and specifically gold royalty companies. And we're delighted to have them as a shareholder. It's an investment in us, and that's represented by the fact that Juan is our chairman.
Yeah. Are they prepping for maybe a roll-up of the royalty industry? Is that what they want to do? Is that their aspiration, or are they going to stay kind of like just investors?
So from the elemental standpoint, I'd say that we grow our royalty portfolio through 4 mechanisms. 1, through royalty generation, which we've done for a very long time, very successfully. 2, buying of existing royalties from people that have generated in other ways, and we buy those royalties. 3, by doing royalty financings. And I think it's this third one, where now that we have more capital available to us, that we'll probably do more royalty financings. And some of those could be blended deals that involve equity as well. And we want to work with that partner so that they're successful, we're all successful. And then number 4 on the list is what you alluded to, and that is further M&A. We've done collectively 3 mergers in our history between Elemental and Altus, and all 3 of those have worked out well for us. But that's over a 23-year history, so it's not something that I look to do tomorrow, but it's something that we always keep in the back of our mind. And of course, scale is rewarded in the royalty business. Any banker will tell you that and show you the graphs. So it's always something that we're discussing.
Right. Well, Dave, you're a wanted man. I had to stand in line to talk to you, and I know other people probably are right now, so I'll get out of your face, but thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure, Antonio, anytime.
Akiba, talk to me about bull markets, and specifically the lessons learned during the previous bull markets that you think we're going to forget during this one.
Yeah, actually, I think there's a lot of similar dynamics to this bull market, and in the early stages of the early aughts one, where gold prices started to rally. And there was a period of a few years where you didn't really have a lot of the competitive juices flowing that were starting to really get constraints on talent, on consumables, operating costs. So I was pretty adamant in public that I thought the bull market in gold started towards the end of 2023. And we went through a period of nearly 2 years where the broader world, I don't think, noticed it. I think some participants in the gold mining industry did, but the broader world didn't. That's changing. I mean, you can see here that the crowds are actually pretty robust over in the conference. A lot of companies are getting financings these days, and you're starting to see the early stages of some of those constraints building up. So equipment availability, obviously prices of assets have changed pretty dramatically as well. Probably one of the key risks over at Mako is human resources. So Jesse, who's in back of me right now, and the internal EPCM firm that we have right now, one of the things that we need to do is continually staff up to go and manage the assets that we currently have. We're now in the early stages of getting the labor market specific to mining getting tight. And I don't think that was actually the case even as late about a year ago. You saw a very similar constraint back in the early aughts, where there was a period of time where a lot of people just weren't in the industry because the bear market lasted so long. We went through a similar exercise here, where after the pretty deep correction that we had between 2011 and 2016, and then even during COVID, really prevented a lot of new crop of talent coming in, is that people at the worker level, so junior and up to the mid-level people, it's tough to find. It's actually one of the key constraints that we have over at Mako, and you need to manage it. Now, what we do is, I guess we're in an acquisition vehicle, right? So we've made 3 acquisitions over the course of the last 20 months. We're not going to stop at the 4 assets that we have, but we are starting to run on a constrained level in terms of where we are from a human resources perspective. We understand that. So when we do make the next acquisition, one of the things that are going to be front and center is how do we manage those constraints? So how do we pick up new human resources talents? What do we do in terms of all the touch points that we have, all the fingers that we have in various pies? How do we do that to limit the constraints that we have on equipment availability and things of the sort? All of those things are front and center with us, because look, we've gone through about a 2-year bull market where a lot of those constraints Didn't happen, and so the only thing that was happening in the gold industry was good things. Now you're going to have a competition between good and bad things happening. So robust demand, but at the same time, a lot of those supply constraints coming up to the fold as well.
That would be one of my questions as well. Do you eat your own cooking? Do you own and operate gold mines because you believe in gold, or do you believe in gold because you own and operate mines?
Oh, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't have like a macro view on gold. I wouldn't exactly consider myself a gold like
a gold bug.
Sometimes people are like cast aside, or they use that as kind of like an insult. I actually think there are actually real valid macro reasons for why gold prices are as high as they are and potentially going higher. But I do think that from a like a tactical perspective, yeah, no, this is the first part of the bull market cycle that really started in earnest at the end of 2023. We're actually having some investor demand come in, which is usually kind of when the cycle has really the last bit of energy and oomph. Some of that energy and oomph can wind up lasting years, and it can often be the vast majority of the cycle move. So I'm very sympathetic that gold prices are going higher, but I don't think that we're in a situation right now where it's as easy of a call in terms of where the commodity is going than we were at the end of 2023. That being said, if gold stayed at 5,300 from now until the end of my career, and nothing else changed, bring it on.
Okay, not a gold bug, a bit of a gold shark then in that case.
Absolutely.
One thing that we seem to forget as an industry throughout the cycles is that the availability of money is not going to be the same throughout the troughs and spikes of the bull market. What does that look like for you? What's your capital acquisition strategy? How do you deal with that?
Sure. So the interesting part about all three of our acquisitions is that they were, for lack of a better word, opportunistic in nature in terms of timing. So the first acquisition that we pulled off was Gold Source, which we announced in February of 24. So a few months after I was public about when the bull market actually started. And if you actually thought about where Gold Source's position was with the Eagle Mountain project, they were a public company that was basically valued as if they couldn't move that project forward. They had a great management team and board. They didn't have the breadth and depth of experience to go and actually build a project, and it was probably a little bit subscale, so that there really wasn't a plausible acquisition event that would happen from a mid-tier or major. So it was almost like left as a company that didn't have the expectation in the investment community to go ahead. You now come back 2 years later, every project at least has the level of plausibility that it will get the funding and going ahead. I think people in the back of their mind understands that everybody in this room can't simultaneously get the funding to build every single project that's on the table right now.
They know it, but do they understand it?
They know it, but they know it. I'm trying to think if they know it but don't understand it, or they understand it but don't know it. It's probably the latter. But everybody sort of knows what I'm saying, is that you apply the current spot price, the current environment to a current resource, it looks economic and it looks like at least has a plausible chance of moving forward. Everybody knows that that's not true. There's two ways of it becoming not true. Either the commodity price in the industry corrects, or there actually is going to be a rationing of capital at the end of the day because you're going to have the supply strains coming in. So our capital acquisition strategy is those types of opportunities almost by definition can't really exist anymore because there's now a level of plausibility on projects going forward. So we have to be a little bit creative. We have more tools in our toolkit than most mining companies have. We plan on using all of them to make sure that we take care of, we use that to our advantage. Now, even though I have a bear market brain, things just happen to be easier in bull markets, so we have to kind of manage those two. We have more flexibility, more tools in the bull market, but at the same time, we don't do anything that's going to be dilutive to our shareholders. So there are going to be opportunities, but they're only going to be opportunities that we can execute on that we're highly confident will be materially accretive to our shareholders.
Another lesson that I'm hearing about is not hiring the right people at the right time. Height of the bull market, everybody's got money, everybody's looking to hire people, but you want people with a specific experience with a specific task at hand. So building and running a mine in Nicaragua, not the same as building and running a mine in the US or in Finland or whatever else it might be. So what does that look like for you? Do you have people with a specific experience for the specific task at hand?
Sure, I was just discussing that with our president, Steve, a few minutes ago, is that Nicaragua actually is now built out, right? So we run that almost 100% Nicaraguense. We have a very, very deep exploration team with over 20 geologists that work with us over in Nicaragua. And then probably if you add up all the field workers that come on in the geology department, it adds up to nearly 100 people are really dedicated just to our exploration program over in Nicaragua. That came about because we had an opportunity set really over the course of the last 7 years to go and hire and train everybody within the country, so that we now run Nicaragua as 100% Nicaraguense. From a practical perspective, you can't really do that in the other jurisdictions in the type of market that we're in. So there's going to be availability of labor in the United States. Like we've now ramped up over in Bullhead for our Moss mine in Arizona from 26 employees to the 88 that we are right now. We do have internal and external geology teams that we're using to start cracking the code for our regional exploration team. So not everything is going to be done in-house. Guyana, which probably has, of all the jurisdictions that we operate, the most amount of labor constraints, just because it's going through probably the biggest growth boom of any country globally right now because of the Exxon oil find that they made. They're now over 1 million barrels a day of production, going potentially over 2 million barrels a day over the course of the next 7 or 8 years. It's just a completely changed environment where the labor competition is not only for the oil industry. You have the Oko West project getting developed, where eventually there's going to be 2,100 employees over there directly in the mining industry. We have to be creative about how we're going to hire and train people, and we can't just look for Guyanese people who are trained in mining in Guyana. We're going to have to look for maybe alternative industries that we come in and retrain to make sure that they know what they're doing over an asset. We're fortunate with our Eagle Mountain project that it's going to be a relatively simple open pit CIL process. So I think there are a lot of applicable industries within the country that we can go and recruit and then retrain them for mining. And then we have 2-3 years to get that done. But it's definitely like a risk of that project, given where Guyana is as a country.
When do you think our next interview should be? When do you expect to have some significant catalysts that you can talk to me about? Great.
So we're actually having a shareholder vote to actually approve the Mount Hamilton transaction. I haven't seen the numbers yet. Hopefully people will approve it. In which case we'll close that imminently, like over the course of the next few days, maybe next week. We've taken operational control of it back in November, so everything is kind of going according to plan. We'll start the meat of construction in April, and we're planning on having first gold pour over at Mount Hamilton likely the very, very end of Q2 next year. And then the other big thing specifically about March over in Guyana, 2 big things on the project development side. We've gotten our terms of reference for our permit application approved by the government, which gives us the ability to put the final touches on our EIA application. That should be submitted to the government sometime towards the end of this month. And then we're in the final stages of negotiating the mineral agreement, which sets out the economic baseline parameters of our project. Hopefully both of those 2 things are going to be delivered, in which case we're going to be on target to have a fully permitted project over at Eagle Mountain by the end of the year.
And I'll be looking forward to those conversations. Akiva, thank you so much for your time.
Great, I appreciate it.
Rafi, I caught you running around, so I don't want to steal too much of your time. What do you think is a lesson that we learned during the previous cycles in mining that we're going to forget during this one?
Well, like with any cycle, all good things do come to an end. They do end in different ways, though. So the most typical way would be high prices turn to low prices, but also costs track high prices and affecting margins. And then other things can come into play. This cycle might be a bit different in how it ends. It will end. It may end a little bit differently. And my theory is that we'll see a remonetization of gold and this continued ongoing importance of strategic metals, onshoring and closing in of supply chains. But that doesn't mean that governments won't take more of the pie over time as they see those windfall margins and they see the strategic value of those metals. That could be how this one ends, but all good things do come to an end.
Yeah. Are you in mining because you like gold and metals, or are you in gold, or do you like gold because you're in mining? Which way does it go?
For me, it's very much based on gold. So, of course, I'm an investor. I started my career as an investor in asset management, and there are huge opportunities across the spectrum in mining, strategic metals, all sorts of things going on in the world today where mining is a more interesting investment than it has been in, probably say, 15 plus years. However, for me, it's specifically the interest is gold and the remonetization of gold and what that means as an operator and as an investor.
Well, one of the topics has been capital acquisition strategies. You know, it is a bull market, money's around. Everyone always thinks this bull market is never coming to an end, like you just said. What is your capital acquisition strategy, and are you getting ready for that eventual downturn?
We're not looking at that yet. I mean, we're still just, this dawn has just sort of hit us. And in our case, we're focused on generating as much cash flow from operations as we can. So investing in our operations, lowering our operating costs. So we're looking at investments like internalizing our energy supply. So that's something that can take tens of dollars, maybe $100 an ounce out of our operating cost, but also reduce our exposure to local power supplies. So looking at making investments like that to make us more resilient to any changes in price, we think that's a long ways off. Look, anytime you hit this kind of a cycle, capital is falling from the sky. So that's not the scarcity factor. It's more people, quality people. You can always get people, but you need high quality people to deliver on your objectives. And then also assets and opportunities. So whereas you could have had 100 opportunities just 2 years ago and no capital, now you have all the capital in the world and a diminishing set of opportunities. So you have to have higher and higher quality people and work harder and harder to find those opportunities.
What is that looking like for you? Do you have, well, when I talk to people and I'm like, do you have a good team? They're like, yeah, we have a great team, 500,000 years of combined experience and all these things. It looks great on a PowerPoint, but do you actually have people who have the specific experience for the specific task at hand?
I mean, that's just it. We're fit to purpose. So, for example, we do not have an exploration geology team. We have a near mine geology team. We're miners, we're operators. We have the exact right team for the opportunity set that we have. So lots of things out there, great projects, great opportunities that we wouldn't be the right fit for. But taking on things, the kind of things that we look for in the two assets and opportunities that we have inside our company, which are existing operations, one that's already up and running now, the other one that's about to be, past producers, the infrastructure's there, the geology's known and largely understood. For that, we have the right team, and for other opportunities that look like that in the future.
Right. When do you think is the next time going to be that you and I are going to be talking? Maybe do a bit of a deeper, another CEO barbecue?
You tell me, Antonio.
When are you going to have some catalysts? When's the next news release coming up?
I think, look, we'll have at the end of Q1, 10 days after the quarter end, we'll have our production update for Q1. We'll have lots to share there. End of May, we'll be releasing our end of April, we'll be releasing our 2025 full year audited results, and end of May, our Q1 full results. So lots of good opportunities to talk. The other big catalyst for us would be still targeting June to be first mining at Summit Gold and Silver Mine in New Mexico.
I'll be looking forward to all those updates, but I'll let you run because I know you have to. Thank you so much for your time.
Always great chatting.
Roy, talk to me about your experience in bull markets. What do you think is a lesson that we learned during the previous markets that we're going to forget for this one?
I think we forget how fast a window of opportunity can close, as big and as wide open as we think it's going to last forever, whether it's regardless of what the reason. And so you really have to take advantage of those windows of opportunity while they're open, because once they're closed, then you're just going to be kicking yourself.
What does that mean for you more specifically? Like, I suppose you're talking about like a capital acquisition strategy. What does that look like for you?
Well, I think that's exactly right. When the capital's there, take it. And certainly in our situation where we've seen unprecedented interest in tungsten space and unprecedented pricing, both in terms of the commodity and also valuation of the shares, it means to get your capital raises done while you can and as quickly as you can, and move forward with your project just as fast as you can as well.
Another point is people as well. I guess we always assume as an industry that you're going to find the right people when you need them, and come time to find them, especially in a bull market, there's a lot of demand for the right people, right? What does that look like for you? And I suppose everybody's going to tell me, oh, I've got a great team.
Yeah.
But do you have a team that's done it before, that has specific experience for the specific task at hand?
No, that's right. I mean, you have to go to war with the army you have. I think we're all in that situation. But certainly what you should pay a premium for is good people.
Mm-hmm. What does that look like for you? I mean, talk to me specifically about, and you and I have talked about you and your background, but what about the rest of the team, the people that are going to push through your permitting and build out your engineering and everything? Do you have those people, or are you going to be looking for them?
Yeah, well, as you know, we started this when there was not a lot of talk around tungsten, and not very many people knew about how critical it was to both the economy and the military. And we're lucky because we started with a group of people, and I actually met them at PDAC here in 2023. I was impressed of not just how serious they were, but how much they were dedicated to actually bringing tungsten mining back to northern Portugal above and beyond, the financial remunerations of doing so. So whenever you have that, people who are in it for purposes that are even, beyond finance and beyond their own profession, but they can actually do and want to do good things for the community and where they're working, I think those are the kind of things you want to tick off the list before you hire them.
What about yourself personally? Are you in tungsten because you're a tungsten explorer, or did you go into tungsten because you're bullish in tungsten?
I went into tungsten because I was getting tired of gold. As well as I was doing in gold, I was thinking, critical metals is the next big thing, and I started looking at critical metals where there wasn't challenges that had to do with the processing of them. And tungsten fit the bill for me. The thesis beyond, in terms of tungsten back in 2023, when I started to look at it, was very exciting for me, even if that was still theoretical at the time. But today we're seeing it we're actually seeing the rubber hit the road and all becoming a reality.
Yeah. I know you've had a big news release, so you and I should do a deep dive. But what else do you have coming? What's the Catalyst calendar looking like?
Well, now that we've got our initial PA out, which is very exciting, and I think it's going to be good news for all the investors. The next thing is, as we've spoken about before, is we want to start working on financing the plants, turning this from an exploration development project into a producer as quickly as we can, and signing some offtakes with because there's a big demand out there. So now's the time, the window of opportunity is open to get it done.
Offtakes in 2026, though? Is that not too fast, or?
No, I think we're going to be signing them very quickly. There's a long list of people who want offtakes, and I think we're going to be able to do it at some under some very interesting terms. So I think they'll be coming very quickly.
How much cash do you have right now? When's the next time you're going to have to hit the market?
About 14 million. We're fully financed through our DFS, but we are going to have to finance our plants, and expect a lot of that. I think is going to come from governments, from project finance groups, from maybe perhaps some enthusiastic off-takers as well. But we will be raising money to actually produce revenue. So that's an exciting thing as well.
I know it's hard to look at the reflective vest for that long, so I'll leave the rest of the questions for when we do a deep dive sometime soon, but thank you so much for your time.
Thanks. Well, I feel safer with you having that vest on, so I appreciate it. Thanks.
Gerald, what is a lesson that we learned during the previous bull cycles that you think we're going to forget during this bull market?
I don't think we, there's been 3 bull market of my own that I know. The one in 1980, where we saw gold going from $35 an ounce to $800 an ounce in less than 10 years. The second one was a financial crisis for bad asset paper management created by the financial institution that created a lot of volatility and refuge towards the gold. This is very different. I don't think you can compare bull market and say the same thing. It's an evolution. It's an evolution going back to what gold has always been, the best safe asset in the world. It's mobile real estate. It's, if you own physical gold, you're in good shape.
Are you just saying that because you run a gold explorer, or do you actually believe?
No, this is my firm belief. I am in gold because I believe in gold, not because...
Not the other way around?
No. Okay. No, I'm not. I've always been in gold for the last 45 years of my career. Yes. So since 1980, I've been a gold bug or a gold believer. And when you look at gold, gold is a very unique element on the periodic table. It's unique. There's no metal that can be recreated to be equivalent to gold. It's impossible. It's so dense. It's the best conductor. It's everything. And it cannot be replaced. And when people start accumulating all the physical gold, don't forget the demand in 2005 was 1,000 tons above the production. So we got a big short. Yeah. Big shortage in physical gold.
When we talk about lessons that we might have forgotten, one of it could be money. It's a bull market, good times, money's readily available, so we stop thinking about a capital acquisition strategy. What is that for you? How much money do you have right now, and what's your capital acquisition strategy?
We just raised money in November. We brought some new shareholders. David Arkwell, chairman of Franco-Nevada. Eric Sprott came in, increased his position to 11%. The deal was done with 3 shareholders, basically, Mackenzie Fund, Eric, and David. And so we've got very, very good could support. We're working very hard on the con mine acquisition in 2026, and we have some very big catalysts. Resource update twice, and a PE by the end of the year. So those 4 catalysts, and the money we have in the bank, of course, we will be raising more money in 2026 for sure. There's no question. We're going to cash up in this current market, but I think we have a lot of value. The company is currently valued at $30, $35 an ounce in the ground. It's very low. It's very cheap. I bought Detour Lake for $50 an ounce, 1.5 million ounces in 2006-07. That's $75 million. Back then, the gold price was $450. I pay $50 an ounce, which is 10% of the gold price. What is 10% of the gold price today? Should we revalue at $500 an ounce? Look, markets are market. Gold has a very important value and is going to stay value for a long, long time. And I think when you look at Gold Terra, and you know that the management has delivered mines before, building many of them, I think the investment is safe. I mean, I don't control the market, I don't control the gold price, I don't predict the gold price, but I know what we're doing, and it's very valuable.
Another thing that Rick Rule talked to me about is having the right people during a bull market, even more so important because there's more demand for the right people. Do you have the right people to bring this over the finish line? And I know probably everybody's going to tell me, yeah, we have a great team, but have the people you work with, have they done it before in this specific setting?
You know, when you have a good project, you attract the right people. You cannot build a team ahead of time. You have to build your team as your needs are. For example, I hired a guy that basically became our development permitting person in Yellowknife with 25 years of experience in regulation in the Northwest Territory. That's an asset. That's somebody that is very key to move the project. But when you start doing the feasibility study, that's when, look, I'm surrounded with 2 mining engineers. I've got the guy for the permitting. I am a geologist that is not too bad after building 3 mines. So you build your team as you move along. Of course, there's always challenge. Even when I built Detour, we were challenged by getting everything organized and finding the right people. And it was hard because back then the oil sands were big. So you got to go with the flow and your needs. But choosing the right people, that's a quality that I think we possess.
I know you and I have longer interviews coming up sometime soon because I know you're going to have news. When's that news going to be coming up? What's the next catalyst?
Well, we're drilling 15,000 meters this winter, so we're going to have a lot of assays result over the next 2, 3, 4 months. We have an MRE update in April, so I think we're going to have a lot of material, a lot of meat on the plate to discuss.
Right. I know you got to run now, but thank you so much for your time.
No, well, my pleasure. Thank you very much, Antonio.
Ivan, I know you've seen a couple of the cycles. I know you've done deals in bull and in bear markets.
Right.
What are some of the lessons that you've learned, or that we as an industry have learned, that you think we might forget? Some of the mistakes that we might keep repeating as an industry?
Well, we already discussed the common ones with personnel as well as capital. A lot of people spend through their capital in bull markets, and they don't have much for bear markets. So capital discipline's the obvious one, but the biggest thing for me is the M&A. M&A is something that a lot of us advanced explorers with really high quality assets were looking at and saying, if I was a major, I would buy every single good explorer right now that has a big tier 1 asset in front of it. It would cost a bit of money, but in this environment, the major mining companies have done so well in their share price with their currency, and their treasuries are printing money hand over fist with the new metal prices. And I think that in bull markets, people are really late. They lag on M&A. I think the other part that we always do as a sector is we buy the juniors so late. And people focus on the bigger ones, and you should, because Agnico Eagle has gone up 8-9 times from where it was, and that's incredible from a major, where you see Barrick or Newmont tripling, and those are incredible returns. But when people come down to the juniors, things have moved about 4 or 5 times before the market really picks up in the junior part of the cycle. So kind of the lesson I've learned is that the majors go first, the mid-tiers go second, the juniors go last. But watching even our company tripled in the last 4 months, that's a different entry point. So if you want to take advantage of the bull market, I think besides behaving as an entrepreneur or as a CEO with capital management, making sure you have capital to keep your personnel through the downturns, I think you have to be really aggressive if you have currency on the M&A, because every single company that can buy something is considering it, and just no one does it early. They do it late when the market gets frothy and everybody pushes the growth pressure to those bigger companies, right? So that's my view.
Yeah. How can you take advantage of that though, as Coppernico? What do you have to do? Do you have to perform better on, I don't know, the marketing side? Do you have to have a better capital acquisition strategy, better discoveries? What do you need?
Well, we're up 3 times or 300% in the last 4 or 5 months, so I think we're doing great. We have a big flexion point ahead because we're about to get permits to go drill. But I often talk about it with my management team and my board. If we do get to the double-digit share price, which the project, on a good day, or if it really works out, could easily get us there in this copper environment, and we're not taken over by a major mining company, what do? And I'm actually looking at companies that have production coming online, private and public, copper ones, and thinking if we don't get taken out, instead of just building it, who can we merge with? How can we create a lot more value and de-risk the proposition to go build a major copper mine, right? So I'm always forward thinking. I'm planning to what I would do if I had currency and I wasn't getting taken out, but right now the project advertises as it could be big enough and rich enough that it would make the threshold for a big takeout sometime in the next 12 to 24 months.
You and I have spoken many times before. I know your background very well. We haven't really talked too much about the rest of your team, though. Do you have the right team? And I suppose everybody here will tell me that they do. But do you have people who have specific experience for the specific task at hand?
Yeah, that's something that I spent a lot of my ability to raise capital is putting together one of the best teams I could. In my career, I recognize people are the key to running a good company. I'm a great spokesperson. I can raise money. I'm a very good strategist, but I'm only as good as the team around me. And you're right, I don't talk enough about the team because they're so busy bringing things online, but I found people that I trust. I found people that are extremely good at what they do, and that's what makes me a great CEO with a great project. I got a chance to present the sustainability panel yesterday for the good work we've done in Peru with the communities we're working with. We bridged the gap between the government, local communities, and agriculture into regions that didn't have it, and we got recognized. But my investor relations lady, Margarita Cardona, she put together one of the best presentations that was turnkey, ready to go without me having to add a slide or take a slide away. And that's just a quality right down to the investor level. I have teams that can deliver the message very clean and precise, which is going to benefit us, not just with communities, but with the market. And then geologically, which is number one, I have a geologist that looks for things to fail before he does to succeed. That is a very prudent approach, and to see him come out really happy, which he is right now, and excited about targets, it's a very real way to approach a big swing, which is easy to get ahead of yourself on. But he's moved, so I'm moved, and we're all excited. But it's a very, very humble, disciplined attitude that's really working well for us.
When do you think you and I should sit down for a deeper dive again? When do you think you're going to have a catalyst out to market that's worth talking about?
We're going to have a series of catalysts between now and when we are drilling this summer. So we anticipate drilling late April, early May, and a lot of permits are coming in on the backside and some more community agreements. But I think the most opportune time for us to sit down would be probably June, July, because we'll be getting our first results back in some significant targets that everyone's been following for some time. So the next few months, great catalyst leading up to it, but let's get some drill holes out and see if this discovery is really there.
More drilling, that's what I like, and I'll be looking forward to those conversations. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Great to see you.
Dustin, I know you haven't seen too many cycles in your day, but what do you think is a lesson that we've learned during previous bull markets that we're going to forget during this one?
Well, I think sustainability. You do need to build your team out, but you need to do it in a sustainable manner. And I guess one thing that we've considered is we're a seasonal play, and to attract the top talent, like we've already got 6 full-time geos, which is pretty unusual for the size of the company, but to attract more talent is how can we find work for them in the winter, because they're going to go in this bull market. People are throwing a lot of money out and attracting geos, and it actually hurts the culture of the industry in a whole. People get entitled, think they're worth more than they are. People get put into positions of doing things way beyond what they should be doing. So we're trying to find ways that maybe we could form an alliance with somebody and that has a different seasonal program, and we could have somebody for half the year and they could work somewhere else for the other half of the year to try to kind of bring people through that are good and create the next crop of good people versus just throwing inexperienced people into the deep end.
Do you mean like sharing your team, or what do you mean?
Yeah,
exactly?
parts of it. Not our current team. Like they're all full time, but as we grow,
You're not sharing Gail.
Yeah, absolutely not. I actually have some great news about Gail. I got the phone call last night. This should be considered material information. So Gail's been basically 2/3 time since we started the company with 2 young kids, and she's they've grown up a bit, and she's been able to negotiate with her husband. She is, as of today, she's full time for Kingfisher, which is I was saying to my team, is like we can't go out and find that third time. Like you can't even hire 10 people and make up for that. So that's a huge difference. And she understands how important the targeting will be going into this drill program, and how it could be life changing for her. So it was a good, easy argument to her husband.
Well, you and I have spoken about this before, and I've met pretty much. I haven't met Gail actually. She wasn't inside when I was there, but I've met pretty much all the other geos at side. Everybody says we have a great team, right? If you go and talk to everybody here, they're like, we have 150 years of combined experience, yada yada yada. How do I know that's true for you? How do I know they have specific experience for the specific task at hand?
Well, you can just go look and redo your own research and look up reports they've written and whatnot in the region. You can see the projects they've been associated with, and you can see the levels of institutional support. Like we just closed that $30 million financing this morning, and it's pretty much exclusively institutions and big funds, like really big funds, new ones that weren't in our presentation before, but much larger funds, and they're backing the team. We got the ground, we got the team, and now we got the cash, and you need all of these things. Great projects get screwed up by bad teams very frequently, but yeah, it's hard for retail to figure that out, and they don't know who's who. They're not hanging out at the Loose Moose in Vancouver, or Moose's down under in Vancouver, or Loose Moose here. Like they're not actually hanging out at the geo bars. They don't know who's who. Just look at who's investing in it, and do your DD. Like look at Gail's report. Look at her thesis. It was directly at an analog to what we're looking at. So it's not if you're willing to look under the bed, you'll probably find either some dirt or some good things. Yeah.
You've had pretty decent catalysts all throughout your dry season, or your winter essentially. When's the next catalyst going to come out? When do you have some more big news coming up?
So we didn't actually bring Gail out here so that she can work on putting together the next data that we'll release, which will be geophysical results from the program, which are going to be pretty enlightening and really show the scale of the targets that we're dealing with at this Hank porphyry, as well as other targets we're going to test this year. Yeah. And then we'll be talking about leading into our season, and then there's other things we're working on that can't really comment on yet. But I think there will be some news, there will be more news flow leading up to drilling, and then it's not that far away. In May we'll be mobilizing, and June 15th the drill will be spinning, and 20 million of charity flow through and 10 million of hard. So there's 20 million for exploration here that needs to be spent by the end of next year. It could be spent this year.
So you're going to get your 15,000 meters of drilling, and then what? Probably more.
So we're going to have 3 drill rigs, and we'll go over this in a release in the future, but we'll have 3 rigs. We have 3 rigs committed already, and we'll stagger the start date of them, not to overwhelm things at the beginning, because you need to start building pads, and you do need to put a few lags in there. But we can drill definitely over 20,000 meters with 3 rigs in the summer, and we'll have funds to do it. So we can announce 15, but we can go to 20 if we want to. And
that might be
maybe there are more rigs available. We haven't got that far yet, but
well, that might actually be a point as well, like a lesson that we might have learned before, and we keep forgetting. Get your rigs and your drilling contracts ready on time. So get them ready early instead of when you need them. So those 3 rigs that you're talking about, is that signed contracting? Like they're going to be there for sure?
Yep. Same with everything. Like we've got geophysicists lined up for 2 months. Every contract is sorted. We've already got our camp built. We staked, and we're currently permitting a secondary camp location, so we can ramp up to over 100 people in the future. We're thinking multi-years ahead. Right. As I've said to investors, I don't know how long this cycle is going to be, but I want to make a big discovery and sell this company in this cycle, so that I personally have the cash to deploy into my next deal in the next downturn for the next bull cycle.
Right.
So we're really doing everything we can to to set ourselves up for success in that regard. Ultimately, Mother Nature dictates it, but we're doing every other way we can de-risk it and plan for the future. And yeah, if you don't have those things lined up, you're going to be scrambling and being really inefficient with capital if you don't think forward.
Right.
And like assume for the best and the worst case scenario, and build both contingencies into your business model.
Yeah.
So
you have the cook ready as well. Same cook as this when I was on site.
I'm not down that granular on those details.
I hope it is. Then I'll come visit again.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Antonio.
Gordon, I want to talk to you about cycles. I know you haven't seen many of those, as we're kind of similar age, so I haven't seen them either, so I'm just assuming here. But what do you think is a lesson from previous cycles that we learned, but that we're going to forget during this cycle, mistake that we'll keep repeating?
It's very interesting you bring that up. It's the last few years, as you and I both know, it's been very difficult to raise capital. It's been difficult to progress projects with that limited capital. So we've been given a gift, but we can't take advantage of that. Like with ESGold, our focus right now is to take this capital, get into production as quickly as possible through tailings reprocessing, generate our own cash flow. It's about building the business. We've been given a gift with this excited market, accelerated gold and silver prices, where people are willing to come in and start paying attention to this industry again. If we can take advantage of that to really develop projects, rather than just drill, rather than spend money hoping for the best so we can try to ram stock prices, well, we can have an opportunity to build the businesses that deserve to be built. We're going to be in a very good position in the next few years.
Yeah. Are you in gold because you have the opportunity with ESGold, or are you in gold because you like gold, because you believe in the thesis of sound money and everything, or how do you come in the space actually?
I'm a big fan of gold and silver on the macro side. The sound money side, I come from a rates background in the finance space. You've known me for years working with Scotty Resources and a lot of these great gold and silver companies because I do believe in it. And this conviction that we've had throughout this bear market is really starting to come to light. The rest of the world is starting to pay attention, and we finally get to scream from the rooftops that we were right all along. So it's nice to see people start paying attention.
Yeah. Capital acquisition is always something that we seem to keep forgetting. When money's there, we think it's going to be there forever, or at least that's what it looks like. What is your capital acquisition strategy? Are you going to need more capital before you're actually cash flowing?
We are going to be fully funded here to build our 1,000 ton per day operations for tailings reprocessing. That should generate enough revenue for further exploration and development of our asset. We're very excited about moving that forward. But it's about spending capital appropriately and responsibly, looking to continue to grow the business as efficiently and responsibly as we can.
Mm-hmm. What about having the right people? I mean, what you're trying to do here is relatively specific, so you need people who have specific experience for the specific task at hand. Do you have those people?
Absolutely, right? And we're going to continue to add to the team as we see fit. The team that we have in place right now is quite experienced. They've been on the asset for a long time, and we're very excited to take it to that next level.
All right. Well, you are right. I have known you for years, but you've still not been on a barbecue. When are you going to come on for a deep dive?
Very soon, my friend. You know what? Send me an email and we'll line it up very soon.
What is your catalyst calendar looking like? What do you have coming up over the next couple of months?
The next couple of months are going to be really excited for us. We're right at the beginning of, we're pre-drilling and we're pre-production. We're finishing the mill build-out right now. We have equipment on the way, arriving on site, full installation and a full build-out. We're also just finishing our permits for our maiden drill program. It will be happening late spring. We're really excited about getting a drill in the ground and exploring this land package that we're on.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and then hopefully speak to you again soon.
It's always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for having me.
John, I know you've seen a couple of these cycles. What's a lesson that we learned during some of those cycles that you think we're going to forget during this one?
Well, an easy one is making sure you've got plenty of cash in the bank. So, make sure you take advantage of these the strong times of demand and plenty of cash around to make sure your account's full and you can execute the programs that you've got planned for your project. So, the other thing is really making sure which we got ahead of, is making sure you've got plenty of good people on your team, because they become scarce as well. When the demand's up. So.
What I'm seeing too now is a lot of maybe tourists, people who might have been CEO of a tech company before, all of a sudden they are bullish hard money. How is that for you? Did you go into mining because you were bullish gold and silver, or are you bullish gold and silver because you're in mining?
Yeah, I'm bullish gold and silver because I'm in mining. No, I've always been in mining. I've always liked gold and silver. So my 35 years plus career, I've stuck with it, and it has its ups and downs. And we're always technically driven, everything we've done. So if it's got the technical merits, you stick at it, and the time will come when it gets to shine.
Yeah. Well, talk to me about what you just said previously. Money. You said make sure you have money, make sure you have the right people. Let's start with the money part of it all. How much money do you have right now? And then also looking forward, what is your capital acquisition strategy?
Look, we've got At the end of the last quarter, we had $14 million in the bank still, so that's plenty of cash to execute our 25,000 meter program. We've got underway now with 2 drills on site over the next 6 to 8 months. So we've got some great targets to be testing. We've just recently done an aerial magnetic survey. We're just interpreting that now, and that's going to help us pinpoint some of these key structural targets that are explained to us why we've got this widespread gold and silver all across the district. So besides the resource update we've got coming up on the first target area, other resource deposit areas that we're currently just started drilling, we've also got those system driving targets that are really going to demonstrate the scale of this property we have here.
Great.
Yeah.
You and I have talked about your background and what you've done previously in I think in our first pass CEO barbecue. What about the rest of the team? Do you have people who have specific experience for the specific task at hand?
Yeah, so our technical advisor that's been with us a few years now, Colin Jones, is highly experienced with these types of deposits all over the world. So he's brought a lot of his big company, big project development experience there, and that's why we spent the last 12 months just detailed mapping and sampling over 20 square kilometres of the district, so we can properly understand the geology and the timing of everything, and properly build up a good geologic model. And our local guys that we've got on the project, that all 8 geologists I hired early last year. So our project geology manager's here with us today, and he's had 12 months there on the site and brought a lot of his good experience and working in the same region. And then we've just added a new vice president of exploration. First day was yesterday, and he was with Silvercrest for 4 years at Las Chispas. So he's got the right sort of experience we need to help us sort of progress this as we continue to drill it and improve the district.
First day was yesterday. How much time are you giving him before he makes a new discovery?
He's had enough time already, I think. So, no, look, he understands it. He gets, this is his bread and butter. So he can see the opportunity there. We've been talking for a good couple of months, so he's familiar with it. He understands the geology there and can see the clear potential this district has. Yeah.
When do you think you and I should do a proper sit down for another lengthy conversation? When are you going to have some big catalysts coming out to market?
Look, I think within, hopefully the assay turnaround times are getting better, and maybe about 4 weeks we should have some. We've been drilling now since the end of January, so we've built up a bit of sample that we've sent to the lab. So we're expecting to get a good suite of assays coming through from new target 3 drilling that we just started, and the resource expansion work that we're finishing off the target 1 ahead of the updates in May. Yeah.
I know you have 7 minutes to get to your next meeting, so I'll shut up and get out of your way, but thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Antonio. Good to catch up again.
Greg, I want to talk to you about boom and bust cycles, essentially. What's one lesson that you think we've learned during previous cycles that we're going to forget for this one?
Well, I mean, this probably isn't quite what the answer you're looking for, or the direction, but we watch the cycles. We read all the same analyst reports that everybody else does. We're excited to have win in our sales when commodity prices are high or investment is flowing into mining. But really, we don't really change much the way we work. We're looking for economically robust, in this case, VMS, copper, gold mines that can withstand, a 20-year mine life, the highs and lows of the markets. We read all these things and we hope for strong markets, but we're mostly just focused on quality projects, and we really stick to that. Right now everything's great, but if you look back at pick any low, we're doing the same thing as we are now. It's nice to have easier access to capital, but our MO doesn't change much. We remain focused on quality projects during the bad times and the good times. So we watch the cycles. My personal investment, that's great for other companies, but as far as what we're doing, we stick to our plan. It works.
Quite specific that what you're looking for. It's a very specific, unique part of the world, if you will. It is a VMS specifically that you're looking for. So you need the right team. And you and I have spoken about your background, but what about the rest of the team? The people who are supposed to make these discoveries. Do you have people who have the specific experience for the specific task at hand?
Yeah, well, absolutely on that front. I think all of us, we've all known each other for decades, literally. Scott Ansell, who was just here, I've worked with Scott for well over 20 years. We were together at Bisha for Nevsun. We then went on to have senior management positions with Sunridge, and we've carried right on here we founded Sun Peak together, and then additional members of our team, David Orman, our chairman. We've worked together for 30 years. Dave, notable, was a co-founder of Sandstorm. which was recently sold to Royal Gold. So very significant wealth creation in 15 years. And Doug Reddy, senior member of our team, the strategic advisor. We've worked with Doug for 30 years, on and off. And Doug's had some very, very notable roles with Endeavour Mining, ESGold, and last 5 years with Equinox Gold as the COO until the merger. And I think Doug has come on to a little junior, mostly because he knows our team, knows the way we work, and really likes the geology and sees success for us in our future drill programs.
You mentioned capital earlier as well. That's one thing that we seem to keep forgetting. When money is readily available, we stop thinking about it. What does that look like for you, though? What is the capital acquisition strategy?
Sure. Yeah. Well, once again, we don't spend more money unnecessary in the good times or the bad times. We currently have about 5.5 in the bank, and that is enough for our minimum commitments this year. What we plan to do. Now, we fully intend to do a lot more than that. And just like our previous examples with other companies, we expect that once we start drilling and demonstrating value, that we'll want to raise more money.
Right.
So,
and that would be this year then?
That'll be this year, yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. When do you think you and I should sit down for another catch-up? I mean, we did our first kind of deep dive CEO barbecue not too long ago. When are you going to have a big catalyst that's worth talking about?
Well, I guess the news flow for the next little while will be announcing more licenses. We have a lot of recent work, surface work assays pending, and those should be coming in the next few weeks, which could be quite compelling. Our last news release on that was, I think, around January 22nd, where we announced gold and silver results from the zone. So we'll have more extensions of that coming, and hopefully the grades are good. We don't know what they are yet, but that'll be coming towards the end of the month. And then a drill announcement. We now been working on that. We expect to drill in Q2, so not too far away. And I think that would be a very logical time to sit down and once we've announced that we're going to drill, and sort of outline what our plans are.
Yeah. Is what's happening in the Middle East in some type of way prohibiting you from doing work? Could it influence that drill, the catalyst calendar that you were talking to me about?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been a troubling few days globally, from the Middle East. We're paying close attention to it. It's not affecting us. We're on the west side of Saudi Arabia. I mean, we're able to, we're operating as usual right now, but we're just watching the news like everyone else. Hopefully it settles down, but it doesn't affect our work programs at all.
Right. I know it's lunchtime, so I'm going to shut up and get out of your face, but thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mark, you've seen a couple of these bull markets, especially like the one we're seeing right now. What do you think is a lesson from previous bull markets that we learned back then, but we're going to forget for this bull market?
I think the first thing is to remember it's a bull market and it's transient. That's right. And sure, there's plenty of arguments that, there's structural change. With gold, for example, this could be a new normal, but there are people who are wary of that as well. I think Rick Rule was wary of it back in January in Vancouver. Yeah. And he was interviewed about it then, saying, I think it's time to take some money off the table, and then the next day the gold price crashed. So he probably already shorted it.
Well, but what about from your perspective as an issuer, though? How do you manage that cyclicality? Is it a capital acquisition strategy, which Rick Rule also talks about, or how do you manage that?
Well, as an explorer, we need to raise money to finance what we do, so these times are great for that. It's not a great time for buying things, I think. I think things, get overvalued. They overshoot both ways. So as an explorer, make the most of the capital that's available to fill the treasury so that you can last through 3-4 years.
Yeah. You also have to be able to effectively deploy that capital, though, and to make that happen, a big part of also, again, what Rick Roll talks about is people. Do you have the right, like you can have $20 million, but you have enough people to spend that $20 million effectively. What does that look like for you, the people that you have right now? Are they the right people to make or approve the thesis that you have right now?
I better be careful how I answer that because they're standing behind me.
They're not listening.
people are the most important thing. And I know it sounds like a cliche, but the money we spend on people is probably more than most. But if you don't have the right people, then nothing else will work. So you have to have the people and be committed to keeping the people during the downturns as well.
Well, but that's something everyone would say, right? They would say, oh, we have great people, we pay them well, we treat our people well. How do I know that? Like, do the people that you have right now, do they have the specific experience for this specific task at hand? Have they worked in these geologies, this part of the world before?
Yeah, I mean, most of the people who work with S2 have been with 4 other companies. We've been through thick and thin, and they've stuck together. So that says a lot. It's our view, a lot of people through necessity chase commodities that are hot because they can get funding for that. But generally you're following, not leading if you do that. We try and ignore all that external noise. We focus on what we're comfortable with, which is mainstream precious and base metals. And that's what we go after. And we don't care if the market's up or down, because with exploration and the time it takes to find something and then turn it into a mine, you could go through 1 or 2 cycles potentially anyway. So being counter-cyclic is a good thing. We ignore what a commodity price is.
How much money do you have right now, and are you prepping for that eventual downturn right now with the Treasury?
We've got about 23, 24 million cash and investments that top it up to about 30. So, for a junior, we're well positioned.
Yeah. So I wasn't too far off with my $20 million example there. When do you think you're going to have some more news? When is the next catalyst going to be out to market?
Right now we've got 3 projects in Australia that are all sort of embryonic, waiting to be granted. We've got targets ready to go, so over the next few months as that ground gets granted, we'll get drill rigs turning, which is what we're waiting for, because that's what finds ore bodies. Yeah.
Well, you and I should catch up in a longer interview then in that case, but I'll let you get back to your actual work now. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Antonio. Cheers.
All right, Jim, I want to talk to you about previous cycles. I know you've been through a couple of those. What are some of the lessons that we learned during the previous cycles that you think we're going to forget for this one?
All right. Well, the one thing I do, instead of forgetting, the one I remember is get into cash flow as soon as possible. Because when the market starts to collapse, you want to be built, you want to be producing cash so that you can become the aggressor and buy up all those exploration companies, their assets, when they fail.
Rick Rule told me that one of the mistakes would be not building the right team. So not having the right people. And I know you and I have done deep dives on what you've done before. But talk to me about the rest of the team. Do you have people who have specific experience for the task at hand? Have they done that? Have they gotten companies to cash flow?
Yeah, the bulk of the people who work for me have worked on and off for me for the last 20 years. That's several cycles. And that includes permitting, geology, as well as engineering. So these are people that I've had long-term relationships with. I trust them, and I can delegate to them. That's the real key to success in this business.
And are they people who have experience in this specific region with again, the specific task at hand here?
Yeah, for instance, my permitting guy, we've done 3 mines together already. That's over the last 20 years. So that's a detailed experience. My geologist, yeah, I've worked with him on several projects through cycles. We know how to hunker down when the times get tough, and we know how to accelerate when the times are good.
Another point that Rick Rule mentioned was not having a good enough capital acquisition strategy. When money is available, you feel like it's plenty and you don't have to do anything. What does that look like for you? What is your capital acquisition strategy?
Well, as the saying goes, when the ducks are quacking, feed them. So you raise money when there's an appetite for it, and you always want to keep a sound balance in hand.
Yeah, good. When's the next news release going to be out for you? What's the next catalyst that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, we're currently drilling. And in the program we started it last week, we're already on the 3rd hole. So you're going to be seeing assays come out. In addition, we've started work on pre-feasibility study. So there'll be some interim results and side studies that come out of that we may release. So we've got a full train of news coming out over the next 5-6 months.
So you and I are going to have plenty of material to catch up on sometime in an interview sometime soon. So yeah, I'm going to let you get to your job, but thank you so much for your time.
All right, great. Hey, thanks a lot, and have a great day.
John Mark, you've seen a couple of these bull cycles. What are some of the lessons that you see people learning again and again and again? They learn a lesson, they forget it, they make the same mistakes. What are some of those lessons?
Well, last night we saw lobsters. Whenever I'm seeing lobsters, I get really concerned. And one of my rules is I have to sell. So basically frivolous with money, not appreciating money. Yeah. We as shareholders and owners, although the share prices are higher, it's still diluting the companies. That's one thing people forget, is that dilution is dilution. It sticks with you. So when you do raise money, to protect it always.
I thought dilution is the solution.
It is in water treatment plants. It's not in junior exploration or in investments. Exactly right.
Yeah, that's very well said. John Mark, are you in metals just because you happen to be a geologist yourself, or are you also bullish kind of on the overarching topic of metals, albeit gold and silver for monetary metals, or the strategic metals like copper?
So I started Riverside 20 years ago because I felt that if I could own royalties on metal assets, that would be something for myself and for my children. And I followed through with that for the last 20 years, and we've had those royalties. So what's happening now fits really well with what I really thought was going to happen. When I worked at the major companies, I saw that they would not keep track of royalties, and those royalties were real value. So what I'm seeing now in the metals is not a surprise to me. I think it actually goes up a lot more. I think there's a devaluation of money, and if you can have resources in the ground, that's great value.
Yeah. Another lesson that Rick Rule tells me we always forget is having a capital acquisition strategy. So a lot of times during bull markets, we all think like, oh, money's easily available. I'll think about it when I need it, but it's going to be there. What is that for you? What's your capital acquisition strategy?
Well, Rick came to us, and Rick became a 9% owner in Riverside. So I was not necessarily looking to finance, but when Rick came and said he'd like to be part of something, we created a special financing. We had not financed significantly since pre-COVID. Didn't need to, but we definitely realized that in this market, it was a good time. We weren't trying to time the market, but when someone comes, it was the opportunity, and having the right capital, not doing cheap capital or flash capital that would be with us for a long time with real owners.
Mm-hmm. Another challenge that I'm hearing a lot about is people finding specific people that have specific experience for the specific task at hand. So people who might have experience in the Yukon with Blue Jay are not necessarily going to be good people to work on your Mexican projects, for example. So do you have the right teams to work on all the different projects that you have with specific experience?
Yes, we do, and we're lucky. Having run a project generator business for the last 20 years, we have a great network, and we've had them working with us and training and collaborating. So we've been able to expand, and it's really fun. In fact, it's generational. In some cases, we have the children now working with us, not in child labor. They're now college students and now graduated from college. We've been going that long, so it's really good. So we have full, strong, young team, young people working with us, plus the experienced people. It makes a really robust corporation, and it's been part of our plan. Knowledge is golden, always building up good people, and so we have really proud to have a keen team, and we're really excited about them working. Right now we're in the field working with them. It's going well.
When's the next catalyst going to come out? When's the next big news release that you expect?
Right now it's so cool. The trucks, we just bought a new generator out at the Union project, and so we're working because it's the best time to work out there is when it's cool of the winter time, and so we're not working too much in Canada currently, and then we'll be working in Canada over the summer on the projects for Riverside. I think the catalyst would be drill results and exploration results coming in the next 3 to 6 months for that work, plus the work that we're doing in other projects in Mexico, having some geochemical results and exploration results, and then we'll also have some deals. We've been working on deals, and here at the PDAC has been a great time for deals, and so I expect some more transactions of value. Riverside always retaining royalties. So Riverside's royalty portfolio is growing quite rapidly and quite well in the current market.
Given what's happening with Viva in Mexico, has that had an influence on your business in any type of way?
It has in types of ways. One of the things was over 5 years ago, Riverside already already began to divest in that part of Mexico, focusing in a completely different part in Sonora, Mexico. We're really sorry about that, what's happened there. We had chosen to not work in that region just because it's a complex region. We're working on private ranch land, on private areas that we can work, that have lock gates, secure entrance. We're using all local people, and we're always focused on trying to have good relationship with the ranchers. It's concerning about anywhere, anything that ever happens, and we always try to work on that. We're very lucky and focused to try to work in the stablest, best places. That's been always part of our long-term Riverside business strategy.
It'd actually be good to sit down with you and talk about Mexico and how not everywhere in Mexico is the same. That might actually be a good deep dive for an interview, but I know there's people waiting to talk to you, so I'll actually get out of your way, but thank you so much for doing this today.
It's great you are here with your wife and your team. Really great, and I love the best.
Bob, I know you've seen a couple of the bull cycles of the past decades, really. What are some of the lessons that we keep learning again and again? Some lessons that we learn and then forget, and one that you think we'll forget again during this cycle?
I think just maybe the small cycles within the larger cycle. So, you always get the volatility, I guess, short-term volatility in the markets and with metal prices and so on. And people take advantage of both the ups and the downs. And so people will often raise more money than they need to. Shareholders get diluted, and because there's a thought and process that take the money when it's offered, which there's a certain amount of truth to that, because you can't always raise it when you need it. But at the same time, I think you need to be cognizant of dilution, and so can be a little bit more responsible. And when people raise a lot of money, then there's always a tendency to spend it too quickly, and so money gets wasted and not put to good use. So I think that's one of the key things, I think.
How are you making sure you're not repeating that mistake, though, and that you have learned that lesson and are actually following through?
Well, I've certainly, learned that lesson, and from both aspects. So, there have been times, during the financial crisis, for example, when we came close to running out of money, and that was tough. And we weren't alone, certainly at that time, and people needed to raise money, and you couldn't. So there's a certain amount of truth to taking it when it's offered, but at the same time, I think you have to be responsible about it. So that's one of the things we're trying to do, and we're very cognizant of dilution, and that's really what's underpinning our whole business strategy of trying to fast track to production as fast as possible and start to generate positive cash flow so that we can use that to build the company as opposed to always relying on the markets.
You are going to have to raise money this year, though, if I remember correctly. Is that still in the plans? And how are you planning on raising, how much, and so on?
Well, I can't really say how much at this point in time. We'll probably raise a bit more for the surface drilling program once we get there. But we've just completed a financing, so we're fully funded for the underground drilling that we're about to start, and that should actually take us into the start of the surface drilling as well. So timing is still a little bit up in the air, but we've also undertaken a number of other issues as well on the project, and so we'll see how it all comes together. But I think we'll be in good shape this year.
Another lesson that we keep learning and keep forgetting is to hire the right people instead of hiring whoever's available. What does that look like for you? I know you and I have spoken about your background, and I know and understand that. But what about the rest of the team? Do you have people who have specific experience for this specific task at hand?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a relatively small team, but in Canada, I'm working closely with one of our directors who's a metallurgical engineer, and he's actually involved in the construction of 3 other plants in Mexico right now. And so working with him on the metallurgical testing and then putting a plan together for the new flow sheet, plant design, for the rebuild of the plant that we have on site. And so Dave has that expertise. And then in Mexico, I'm rebuilding the team that we used to have with Great Panther. So I brought back our former mine manager, Carlos Castro, and brought back our former exploration manager, Jorge Ortega. And they're just in turn, building out their teams as well. So it's very much a team of people that know what they're doing and a lot of expertise there. So we're not just hiring, at random anybody that comes along kind of thing.
Mexico's been in the news a lot lately, and not in a positive light, as well as the mining space. It's just in general. What do you make of that? How does that influence you?
It doesn't influence us directly. I'm certainly aware of it. I've been working in Mexico for 30 years, so I'm not naive to the situation down there. But there's no immediate impact on where we're working in Durango. We've just signed a community agreement for working on our project. The community is very supportive of what we're doing, and so there's no direct issues. But we're just monitoring the situation in parts of Mexico, and I mean there have always been parts of the country that are just a no-go zone as far as I'm concerned, and so we just continue to monitor that.
Right. I know you have to run now, but when do you think is the next time that you and I should sit down for a proper CEO barbecue? When are you going to have a big catalyst out to the market?
There could be several catalysts this year, actually, Antonio. We're looking at various permitting aspects, water permit, environmental permits, that sort of thing. We've just commissioned a feasibility study for the power line extension. We're starting rehabilitation of the underground workings pretty much immediately, and then should start underground drilling maybe around the end of March. So once all of that gets going, and then we start to get results from all of that, maybe in a couple of months, then we should see pretty steady news flow through the year. So beginning of March now. So yeah, probably a few months from now, I think would be a great time.
And I'll be looking forward to all that. Thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the rest of the show.
My pleasure. Thanks, Antonio. You too.
Peter, what are some of the lessons that you think we learned during the previous bull markets that we're going to forget during this one?
Capital availability, I think, is one of those things that it's great when you have it, but you kind of forget the importance of it in a bear market, and it's a recurring theme, I think, both in terms of capital availability, but also availability of professionals to manage your programs.
Yeah. When it comes down to what you're looking for, copper and gold, right? In VMS, as you personally, are you looking for copper and gold because you're taking a bit of a macro view and you're bullish on the metals, or are you bullish on the metals because you're a CEO of an Explorco?
I think you've got to take a long-term view of your commodity base, and historically it takes anywhere between 3 and 5 years of a newly established company to show success on a project, and that's a reasonable timeline. So you have to have long-term planning, I think. What we're particularly focused on are volcanogenic massive sulfides, which are excellent sources of copper and zinc and silver and gold. That kind of a model has been overlooked for the past 30 years, and I think it provides us with an exploration niche. So I think that you have to take a long-term view. Not the entire industry has the same approach and philosophy.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to what you just said, people and capital. I want to start off with the latter first, capital. What is your capital acquisition strategy? During bull markets, people oftentimes, as you said, think like, oh, money's available, I don't have to have a strategy right now. When I need it, it'll just come to me. But then the market turns and it never comes. So what is your capital acquisition strategy?
I think the availability in any market for flow-through funds to undertake exploration is, regardless, bull or bear, it seems to be, well, it's fiscally attractive to most investors. It's the hard dollars, the dollars that covers your G&A, your administration costs, that are always the toughest to come by. So I think for the sake of survival of the corporation, you have to ensure having a good, solid, hard dollar account to be able to cover you in good times and bad.
Yeah. Moving over to the other thing you said, which is your people acquisition strategy. When I go around and ask people here, do you have the right team? Everybody says they do, right? I mean, that's something we always say. It's always a great team. What about your team? Do you have the team that's done it before, that has specific experience for the specific task at hand?
Yeah, I've got a following of people that we've had success in exploration in the past, and I'm always able to draw down on them to support me in subsequent opportunities. And certainly Auriginal is so very new. I really only recently started looking for technical help. There's always contractors available to undertake execution of your programs. You need a core of long-term employees, solid people you can depend on for things like property acquisition and evaluation of mineral exploration opportunities.
Well, do you have them, or are those people with you, or are you looking for those people?
Well, within the org group, we have the good fortune of having those kind of people available. to draw from. But ultimately, I want to get somebody in on a full-time basis in support of what I'm trying to do at Auriginal right now.
Right. When do you think you and I should sit down for a deeper interview? When's the next big catalyst going to be announced to the market?
I think once we start, the drill starts turning in the next week or two, and we're actually starting to prove our VMS model for the Roger project. And then wait maybe a month after for getting the assays back from the diamond drilling. So we're looking at probably the beginning of May, somewhere in that ilk.
And I'll be looking forward to that. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks very much, Antonio.
Tom, I know you've seen a couple of these bull cycles.
Yeah.
What are some of the lessons that you see people learning over and over again because we keep forgetting them?
Well, the number one is that it's a cycle, right? Everybody thinks it's going to be like this always, and it's different this time. They're always slightly different, but it is a cycle, and you have to remember that. So I think that's the most important thing. We're in a great spot right now. We really have to take advantage of it.
Are you in this because it is an upcycle, or are you coming in mostly from the perspective of you actually believe in your own cooking? You believe in the metals thesis that you're pitching?
Yeah, no, I've been a copper bull for almost 20 years. I think this is a great place to be. I love being in the copper space. I think it's copper is a very useful metal. It's something we absolutely need, and so I think you can really feel good about going out and finding and mining copper. And it was always just a matter of time. These are the medium and long-term fundamentals have always been fantastic for copper, but it's always been okay. Maybe next year, or maybe next year it's going to happen. We always knew it was going to happen eventually. It looks like this might be it. Everything is really coming together really great.
Well, like what you just said earlier, that essentially all good things must come to an end, and we keep forgetting that. That's got a lot of implications. One of which is capital. When the times are great, we all think like, oh, there's money available when I need it. I'll get it when I need it. And a lot of people forget their capital acquisition strategy. What is that for you specifically? What is your capital acquisition strategy?
Yeah, well, I'm in a pretty good spot now with our STORM project because, we are hitting it. We're having the PFS coming out in the next couple of weeks here. And, our timeline towards, mine building and production or mining is 2028. That's very near term. And so, even though, I only own 20% of that project, but it's 20% of what's something that could be, it's going to be a producing asset. And that changes everything as far as essentially capital acquisition. Because I'm not going to be stuck on the treadmill of, needing money, raising it, having to issue shares, spending it, typically all at once. If, most people, you raise the money you need for the upcoming program. If people typically don't sit on it, on nest eggs of any significant size. And because that's really what the market doesn't want to see you sitting on it. They want to see you drill, baby, drill, and all that, right? So, so you spend it up, essentially, you end up, you raise it all at once, you spend it at once, and then you end up with you may get a couple of press releases, but it'll all come out, end of the year, and then you're at the mercy of those results, and you got to back on the treadmill again. So that's it's an unfortunate reality of our business. That's the way the cycle goes. And but now with STORM coming online, if we can start generating revenue, I can use that revenue, both to continue to do additional exploration at STORM. I contribute pro rata to that, potentially make a discovery there, but also then I can spend it doing exploration elsewhere, whether it's my Epworth project, or we'll see what other projects we may have at the time. Right. But it is like the it's really what where every junior would like to be, having money coming in the door instead of just going out all the time.
Well, to make that happen, you do need the right rocks, and you need enough money to go and explore for them. But maybe most of all, you need the right people to explore for the right metals and for the right deposits. I know you and I have talked about your background, but what about the rest of the team? Do you have people who've done it before, people who have made discoveries in similar settings? And
Well, the team really is me at the moment. I'm really the only full-time employee, but I do employ some high-quality consultants as needed. Previously we've had Dave Broughton working with us up at the STORM project. Dave Broughton was the guy who worked with Robert Friedland and and essentially with that team discovered Kamoa-Kakula in the Congo. So very wise guy, and I learned a lot from him. And we apply some of that to his to our work at Storm, and of course I learned, so I apply that at Epworth as well. I have another consultant, Elizabeth Turner. She's a professor at the Laurentian University. Very, very experienced person, both in the Central African Copper Belt, in the north. She started off working as more a GSC, a mapper, working in the north. Extensive knowledge of the actual rocks in that area, particularly at Epworth, but then has kind of migrated now to become more of an economic geologist. Definitely more. She's an excellent economic geologist, working with different groups like Friedland's group. She's worked with a lot of thesis students for projects in the Congo, working with Cobalt and that kind of group. So she's kind of my consultant of choice right now. She is definitely the right one for this project. And and then of course for the actual work on the ground, we use Apex Geosciences as the services company. And again, they're very experienced, and it's great to be able to tap into a group like that where I can tap in individuals who have particular experience, whether it's geophysics or geochemistry, just the logistics of setting up a program and running drill programs and the like, the various modeling programs. I don't have to have individual geos, a huge staff and like a lot of expensive software subscriptions. I can just tap in, turn it on and off as I need it. And so to have a group like Apex, who is very experienced, throughout the world, but particularly in Northern Canada, it's great to have that team working with me.
Well, Tom, you and I did an interview not too long ago. I think it must have been about a month ago. When do you think our next update should be? When are you going to have a big catalyst to talk about?
Yeah, we know it's going to be that PFS, so I think that's going to be a real game changer for us. To have that study, so you can see, and then the rest of the market, and the investment advisors, can really see, what the costs are, what the NPV, what the value is in this project, and not just that, but also the timelines. I think there's going to get some confirmation of that. This aggressive timeline that we're shooting for is definitely within reach, and I think we'll have you can hear it from the engineers, not just me, about what this project's really about.
I'll be looking forward to that, and in the meantime, I'll let you do your actual job and get out of your face, but thank you so much for doing this.
Great. Good to see you, Antonio.
Bruce, you've seen a couple of bull cycles throughout your career. What is a lesson that we learned during the previous cycles that you think we're going to forget for this one?
Well, I think one of the most important things to remember is, first of all, if you're an investor, to take some money off the table if you're up. It's really important to make sure that you've always got a little bit of dry powder. I think for explorers, one of the key things is to make sure that you take advantage of the good market when you can, and make sure your cash position is healthy without creating unnecessary dilution. So there's a balance to be had there, but it's really important to make sure that your treasury is topped up while you have the opportunity to do so, and plan for that next down cycle.
Are you a gold explorer because you like gold, or do you like gold because you're a gold explorer?
Am I a gold explorer because I like gold? Do I like gold? Because that's a good question. I like gold because I find it one of the more I would say easier things to explain to the market and explore for. For example, if copper exploration can be very challenging, it take a lot of money and a lot of holes to find what you're looking for, whereas you can vector into a gold deposit much more quickly. And obviously the gold price is fantastic, so it's much easier to take it to the market with such a good gold price. And again, I think an easier trajectory to success.
I want to touch upon something you just said, which was capital. What is your capital acquisition strategy? I understand you don't need money right now, but there's going to be a time when you do, and that might be around a time when the bull market is no more. So what is your capital acquisition strategy?
Right, well, so the best time to look for capital is when you don't need it. And so that our strategy would be to, the company, Storm, has been quiet for about 3 years, so we have some marketing to do, and we've got enough capital in the bank right now that we can begin that marketing and hopefully get the story out to a broader audience. But in doing so, I'm also seeking and have identified some strategic investors that could come in at these lower levels, top up the the treasury, but also position them for success as we go forward.
Right. What about your people acquisition strategy? Coming out of the position that you did, maybe you've seen people leave looking for other opportunities, but you are going to need, well, everybody needs the right people, right? So do you have the people who have specific experience for the specific task at hand?
I have access to the people that are required. So, we're at earlier stage exploration, so, you need much more specifically oriented people in a more advanced situation. So you need, I don't want to say generalist explorations, but people who, for instance, if you're an orogenic gold explorer, it would be an appropriate person. So the benefit of having been in the business for nearly 40 years is that I have a great network of people, and I have the access to the people that I need to explore for the kinds of deposits I'm looking for.
Right. Seems like you're going to have a busier year this year, and I know you and I will do deeper dives, but what's the next catalyst going to be for you? When is the next big news release coming?
I think that probably the big catalyst for us will be the next drill program. We are planning to drill our gold standard property in Q2 of 2026. So that's probably the next big catalyst. But just getting the story out there is a really important part. We're a $4 million or $4.5 million market cap, and I think it's demonstrable that we have more value in the shares and the cash that we have than we have market cap. But that's really a function of me needing to get out and tell the story, because nobody's going to buy your stock if they don't know who you are.
Yeah. Well, I'll be looking forward to those conversations in the coming months, but I'll let you do your thing now. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, ciao.